Hey guys, it's Vince. Today in this video we're going to be covering a couple different advanced builds that I've done for two clients, and the reason I wanted to do this breakdown, so to speak, is because I'm getting questions every day on everything from mounting, component selection. If you purchase my components, I get questions all the time of, where do I mount things? I'm running out of room. How can I do this? What's the best application method for, applying shielding and whatnot? And I feel, a visual representation is really going to differentiate a lot. And what other best way to do this than to show you guys definitively of what my clients are getting so that you guys can replicate or, again, answer your own questions. I still think that's the easiest way. So that being said, let me give you a little background on the system you see before you. This is going to a corporate client out of Canada in Quebec. This corporate client is doing a retrofit on, I believe, a $50,000 plasma table. He picked it up for about $10K. We're looking at converting her over to a Gecko system, of course. I've done so many retrofits for plasmas, it's frightening. That being said, he wanted the best of the best because his company is quite large. He needs, the utmost in reliability. And that being said, he wanted to go with a full system with the torch height controller, which, again, a torch height controller of the capacity he's using. He went with a Kindle torch height controller. For my guys out there who are not familiar with Kindle, it's made by a company called Winexia out of Pennsylvania. Full U.S. support, full U.S. warranty, very, very, I can't even say enough about it. It's an amazing system. It came with its own Z-axis. It also comes with its own servo motor pre-programmed to autonomously control torch height. Now this unit is not cheap. It'll run over $2,000. Actually, it's about $2,500, but it totally is an autonomous system. You don't need G-code to use it, but you do need to have proper relay and, of course, the actual switch that goes to your Z-axis. You also have to have that, of course, installed in your controller. And in this situation, I built him a turnkey system. Now, when I say a turnkey system, this client also required custom-built 18.4 double-shielded motor cables. That was built. I converted the cable that came with the Kindle that was standard shielding to double shielding. We went with a 10-foot cable on that. Everything is longer cables, not only to support the machine, but also give you an extra level of protection for EMI. To give or take on the total cost spent, I'll give you that. I mean, just to give you an idea, it was $5K with the torch height controller. Okay, so that gives you a breakdown of what you're going to be seeing inside here. You can see the custom graphics done with all of the relay output port. You can see we've got our moisture protector on a GX16 relay output. And again, if he ever had to service his own system, just like I do for all of you guys, if you go this route, you do get all of the wiring diagrams on it so you understand exactly what goes where if you have to service your own unit. You can see we installed an extra DB9 on the system. And what's amazing is, because I'm getting more and more questions on relay kits, how do I assemble them, can I install one in the enclosure, and what I'm about to show you, you guys will understand in a minute exactly how we go about installing this in a format that's not only neat and professional, but also extremely functional and accessible. So just give me a minute. We're going to pan it around now. First thing I want to point out is you can see we've got our terminal relay splitter. And again, the relay splitter and my other terminal blocks. Now, if I come underneath here, you can see that we've actually got the brass terminal block mounted underneath. And the beauty of that is all of these are mounted so that you can stack them, so that you guys don't have to, really use any real estate in a horizontal fashion. By you stacking everything, you can get everything fit in a very, very small enclosure and still have full functionality. Once again, everything is graphic as it should be. You can see his terminal splitter, graphic. Relay is graphic. Solder, heat shrink, and flux was used on every connector as it should be. Another thing I'm really proud of is the wiring diagram for his actual relay. Okay? If you guys ordered a system like this and take into account all of the graphics, which are done in 3M8518 glossy overlaminate and pro vinyl, these graphics will outlive usually most systems. I mean, and they're done in a way that leave it to you guys to actually service your own unit. Again, everything here is toollessly mounted. You can see we've got our thumb nuts here. You can remove everything in a heartbeat, and there is the relay. And I've gotten asked about the relays many times, and I'm just going to show you this. You can see how the relay is actually mounted. There's the actual thumb screw and the standoff, and your relay then is simply mounted so that it can be removed basically by just undoing the thumb nuts, you're golden. Okay, so by you guys looking at this, and I'll just put the camera over here for a second, and we'll just see if I can stabilize it. You guys can see exactly how we have this all set up. The other variable here is, and I've discussed this many times, I've installed, let me get my hand out of the way, I've installed ferrites on the signal trigger signal cable from the Gecko. And I did that, and you can see those little black dots right there, see that? So his signals are actively filtered so that we make sure that EMI penetration is virtually non-existent. Now if I come over here, what I did over here is I also installed one of my Pro Solderless DB9 connectors so that he can go in here and instantly install basically whatever configuration of switches he wants to do. Now, of course, his Z-axis, it's mandatory for protection on the Kindle THC because it came with its own Z-axis that he has a switch port for the system. Now, of course, that system being it's universal, it came with just a general connector and plug type format, but I wanted to make it neat. I'm giving him another Pro Solderless connector in a male format. This is a female, so he can just come over here and plug that directly into his system, and it's fully incorporated and he's set. So again, you can see here how neat everything is. Got our power cables coming over. We then split our power using our terminal splitter, and everything here is set. Now you can see 5 and 6 outputs on here I did not use. I could have used them for his relay. However, he only has one relay and he's only going to be using one relay. He can expand his system at any point in time using this over and under format so that he can encompass more relays on this side if he chose to. Okay, so again, you guys really are getting a really good bird's eye view of just how easy it is to set up a system, not only in a serviceable format, but also in a professional format that makes total sense. I mean, the logic behind this system, you can see solder heat shrink and flux was used also on the GX16 connector. There's a lot of wiring and a lot of soldering here. Okay, to show you underneath, here's one, and here's full accessibility to all of his terminals. So he can come in here, and if he ever had to, he could service everything. And with the labeling on there, it makes it all too easy. Many of my clients already know when they purchased a relay kit, that's one of the beauties of it. But I do get questions all the time on proper mounting technique. And I wanted you guys to all see just how easy it is and how well I've really put a lot of thought process in this to make it so that whatever regards to your system, as long as you have height, which my enclosures are 4 inches high, you'll be able to stack these over any terminal block that I offer. If you need standoffs, I carry the standoffs. We can make it as high as required, and you see I have the actual height that's required to give our clearance to our relay. Now everything in this enclosure, and I'll say it for the last time, is fully soldered and heat shrunk, and flux is of course used. Kester solder, Kester 186, no clean flux is used on everything. So again, a lot of time, a lot of money in here, but it's done right. And again, over here we can see our e-stop uses a tin braided copper by hand, shielded e-stop. I do this all by hand. I build the cables myself, and it's properly ground drained to the base of the chassis. Now this is my Rev 2 chassis. It appears to be gold anodized. It is not. It's dipped in, it's got an EMI dipped coating on it, and we do that again to give him an extra level of protection and all of you an extra level of protection. So again, I hope this system makes a little more sense for you guys out there who are going more complex and want something that, again, is extremely clean, extremely serviceable, and yet it gives you an idea of how to mount everything in this format. Okay, so as you buy components or you're adding components to your system, you can easily add this to any system. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you another system. Just give me a second and change this one out. I just did this for a client the other day. This system I actually shipped to the client, and he wanted to add more components to it after he received it. So I actually had to essentially rebuild the system again, because anyone will tell you when everything is soldered, you basically have to start from the beginning and make sure everything is properly wired. Now, when you guys quote me, or I should say when you ask me for a quote on doing that kind of work, the thing to keep in mind at all times is that if I have to go back and rebuild the whole system, there's no way I can add ports to this without totally dismantling the system and the work I've done. And I do that to protect our investment because, again, I'm not going to butcher a box. I've seen a lot of butcher jobs out there. Everything I do is in a format that I would expect to be resold. Meaning if you ever decided to pass your business on to someone else, or if you just wanted to upgrade a controller to maybe a pro system or whichever way it may be, I want you guys to have that availability, and nothing leaves my actual shop unless it's done correctly, and you'll see that. This system, he wanted to add a remote e-stop mount, and then he also wanted to add a touch plate probe. But he also was concerned about, he wanted graphics done for everything. And of course, I always do my own graphics. Everything here is custom. I did let him know that table mounted e-stop must be plugged in to allow the G540 to come out of fault, because many of you already know, if you don't have that loop connected, the G540 will just be in fault mode all the time. So once again, we got our GX16s. We have a 2-pin for our touch probe. He provided that. And then I provided the 3-pin GX16 for his table mounted e-stop. This system is unique in the sense that I don't do a lot of systems with a remote mounted e-stop. A lot of times guys don't require it, mainly because you guys already realize that on your computer you're going to get an e-stop that's redundant and works redundantly with the actual enclosure's e-stop. So again, if you want to add it, it's always a possibility. There's certain situations that you'd want to have an additional e-stop on a chassis where your table is maybe not in the same location of your controller. It happens a lot. But this client, again, believe it or not, he's another corporate client. He's actually working with the military, and he wanted this system to be set up in this format, and again, purchased it in one format, sent it back, and I've just done the retrofit on it. Came out beautiful. You can see over here we've got all of our wiring diagram for a touch plate probe, and underneath here, once again, we've got all of our wiring diagram. I'll see if I can move the cover plate out of the way. You can see our wiring diagram once again for the table mounted e-stop. Everything here is flawless. I'm going to now pan around inside to show you the build quality on this system. Now you can see I'm using tin braided copper, and this is something I've never really discussed with you guys. The beauty of using a tin braided copper, now being he's using an e-stop that is remote mount, I cannot make one cable. A lot of times you guys are going to find if you're trying to shield cables properly, you cannot do that very easily because the cables may be being actually segregated as far as going in separate directions, and shielded cable as a cable is one, and your leads may not be able to be split. In that instance, you'd want to use a tin braided copper. You can see here we used heat shrink on top, made it nice and clean and neat, and the beauty of using a tin braided copper is it will ground out and diffuse right directly to the chassis. You will not need typically a ground drain, because as long as it's conductive and it's making conduction with, or I should say making contact with both cables on top of the chassis itself, it's going to diffuse. And that means it'll dissipate EMI directly. It's a little secret. It works amazing. And if you come over here, once again, I put the wiring diagram. I actually had this installed prior to him actually going with the upgrade. But if you come over here, we went with a power supply terminal V splitter. This splits the actual V negative on the power supply. Once again, toollessly mounted. Everything neat, clean. Once again, solder, heat shrink, and flux used on everything. And you can see down here again, we do of course have everything labeled as we should. Easy serviceability. I'm going to come back here, show you some more tin braided copper, show you how this was run and how neat everything is. Again, we can see that our solder job on our connectors right over here and right over here, and everything is nice and clean and neat. You can see the ground actually coming off of that connector, and that's for pin 3. So the beauty of using that ground on pin 3 and actually using the shield, or attaching I should say the shield to the tin braided copper shielding, is that once it makes contact with the chassis, when he attaches his e-stop, and he will be using shielded cable on it, once he does that, he will then be able to just actually attach the shield drain on that cable and come here on the 3rd pin, and once it plugs in, it'll ground out to the chassis and you're golden. You're only grounding it on one end, which he will be doing. So again, these are just some more advanced system builds that G540s, like I said, the beauty of these systems is you can really build them around what application you have. And I'm finding more and more, like I said, clients are getting in touch with me and wanting custom configurations done. So I think by you guys seeing these more and more, and I'll probably do a couple more autopsies, so to speak, because again, for those of you who don't know, autopsy is not always associated with death. It's actually a Latin derivative, and it actually means to see with one eye. So when you look at this, I mean, you guys seeing this, it gives you guys a lot of ideas. You'll go back, you'll watch the videos, and that's what I really want. If you guys are looking for tin braided copper, I just got a supply in. I'm just going to get ready to list that. Let me know if you need some. I even have tools to open it, because working with it does take a technique. I plan on doing a video in the future about that. But overall, like I said, I wanted to really cover with you in detail just how custom these systems are. I mean, it's basically endless. And again, there's a lot of work here. And when I say that, a lot of guys don't realize, you know, when you're doing stuff for yourself, you can get away with whatever you find acceptable in the work ethic and quality. I cannot do that. So please, and I emphasize this, you know, emphatically, that you guys understand, when you message me and you say, I want to have a custom system done, this extra work here can be hundreds of dollars easily. And it can exceed easily the amount of the system, depending upon what I'm doing and the amount of time it takes. I mean, there's parts, there's labor, everything. Again, I'm not shooting to be the cheapest. I'm just shooting to do it right, provide the most stable equipment I can, and again, offer features that no other equipment does, and that is that I make it so you guys can service it yourself in-house, which anyone that is selling this equipment should be doing. If they're not doing that and making it easily accessible for you guys to actually service your own equipment, you guys are really playing with fire. Because in essence, what happens is, just like when you import from China or import from overseas, if you plan on servicing these units and have no idea what anything is connected to, you're going to have some serious issues. A lot of times they'll want to, you know, charge you ridiculous amounts for labor, or they'll want you to send the system in. That is not my goal. I want you guys to be empowered to control your own destiny with your system. You know, I mean, I want to take it at that level. There's no point, there's no benefit in making you guys more or less a prisoner to me, in the sense that I make it so difficult to understand, or make things so convoluted in the sense of you really getting your system down pat, and not just in the software format and the hardware format, but also in a configuration format. If I can't make it so you guys understand it, I'm really wasting my time. You know, I'm just like the rest of them, and that's definitely not the case. I think, again, if you speak to any of my past clients, and I can definitely give you references. Again, I have 2,000 subscribers. I think most of you already see that this is what I do. I mean, this is my full-time income. This is my full-time passion. So I want you guys to know what you're buying. I want you guys to have the best. And again, I want to give you guys ideas. So I hope this video has been helpful. I know it's going to open up more questions, and I'm fine with that. Please message me at storm2313@gmail.com. You can also contact me on my eDealers Direct store on eBay. The links will be beneath the video. Once again, I cannot say thank you enough to my subscriber database. We are growing, guys, massively. And again, I want these videos to keep coming out. Believe it or not, I'm working on a couple different things. I'm waiting right now to give away a spindle. I have a new spindle package that I came out with that I think is going to help out a lot of guys. I'm just waiting on some components to come in to finish the engineering on the project. But overall, I think that these systems really speak for themselves as far as the time I've invested, and again, what I'm trying to cover, and that is pretty much every detail, so that we do it right the first time. You guys, if you're paying me to do it, I want to do it to the best of my ability, and do it in a way that I know you guys are not going to have problems. Everything is built here in a professional format, so that whatever project and application or business model you have, we can support it directly. And in the US, which again, God bless the USA, that's what we're here to do. You know, let's support each other and keep it in that format. No language barriers, no problems with that. Again, let me re-emphasize, I've said this in previous videos, Gecko Drive now encompasses a 3-year warranty on every drive they use. That means every G540 now comes with a 3-year warranty. That means all 4 drives inside here, you've got a 3-year warranty on. The breakout board inside here, 3-year warranty. It's amazing, guys. In this industry, to have a 3-year US warranty with actual support, it's non-existent. I'm just telling you. So think about that. Again, I want you guys to understand what you're buying and hopefully learn it as we go, and I hope this video has helped you guys. If you do have questions, once again, you got my contact info. Thank you all. Take care.